All right, so today we're talking about soccer recovery and recovery from games. This is more for coaches in terms of like planning how to build your training around games. So here in Ohio, at least in high school, sports are going to be starting next Monday. So coaches are trying to, taking a look at schedules and looking at training plans around that. Colleges are also starting very soon too. So when you have a sport like soccer, I mean, a lot of other sports are like this too. Basketball is where you have multiple games in a week. There's this balance that coaches need to have between recovering between games and training. So let's say you have games like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday of a week. That Tuesday between games, if you have a game Monday and Wednesday, is probably going to be more of a recovery day. But then let's say there's certain things that you need to work on, to prep for opponents that are coming up, in the next week or that Saturday game or whatever it is. So, and there is some training that needs to get done during that time. So it's always kind of this balance that coaches need to have where the players need to recover. And there's studies that show that at least in elite soccer, it takes about 72 hours to recover from a match. So, when you're playing multiple games in a week, you have to optimize that. But then at the same time, there are certain things that you need to do to prepare for the next game. So how do we do that? Having a plan, I'm going to skip back here. So having a plan starting at this point in the season where you can look at the schedule and you can look at the games and you can work backwards from that is very important. So getting on the calendar, we have a game on this day and then this day and this day. And then, okay, my training day in between, this day is going to be a training day. This day is going to be a recovery day. And so on. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do that. So let's say you have match day on, a Saturday, we'll just call it. The next day, at least the next day, the next 2 days is ideal, is where you want to have your recovery days. So in soccer, we kind of call that like MD +1 or match day +1 or match day +2. Different sports can, call it different things, but that's ideal. Then you have a couple days, hopefully, to kind of build up whatever fitness needs to be built up for that opponent, working on, whatever you need for that game. Let's say we're going to play a more defensive kind of scheme that game, or, so we're going to work on set pieces, or we're going to be better on counterattacking or whatever. Those are the days that you can load your players. So we've had our recovery days. Now we can kind of start to load, and then we want to taper again before the next match. So this is set up for if I have a game on a Saturday and then I don't have another game until another Saturday, because it was the easiest way to kind of illustrate this example. If you have multiple games in a week, you may not be able to have many loading days, or, maybe you're only limited to one recovery day because then they're playing the very next day. And then we don't have a loading day at all if they're playing Monday and Wednesday. But this is set up for an ideal, a week if we've got a bunch of time to recover from one game, start to load and train again for the next game, and then taper down. You want to always taper down the day before a match. So you think about like lighter, shorter sessions. I heard somebody say once, like light and snappy. That's kind of what we want. And there's different ways of structuring your sessions to do that. That's another topic for another time. Probably do another video on that, but you do not want to be running people a lot the day before a game in any sport. It's counterproductive. It's kind of like cramming for a test the night before. What else is there really going to be accomplished from that? So when we think about tapering, and kind of tapering the time that they're at practice, the intensity of the practice, and then the amount of high speed running that they're doing at practice, that's really important to do. All right, that's all for this week. See you all next week.